We're back for our daily college basketball best bets here on Monday, January 12th. Today is one of the, I think, lowest level, I'll say, college basketball days of the year in terms of there's no big matchups today. I don't think there's a single Power 5 game today, so it's a lot of mid-major action, and it's a lot of SWAC and MEAC games, where if you know the SWAC and the MEAC, usually that is the lowest level of Division I college basketball, but you know what? We're going to make the most of it. There's a lot of Southland action today as well, so we're going to have an assortment today of college basketball best bets. We're going to be looking at the MEAC, we're going to be looking at the SWAC, we're going to be looking at the Southland, we're going to be looking at the Patriot. Hold on with me here, guys. We're going to have some interesting games today. Obviously, you can see in the thumbnail two non-powerhouses, I shall say, in the thumbnail of this video. Folks, before we get into it, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily college basketball best bets here on the channel. Yesterday was not a great day. We had one, Manhattan. Shout out to the Jaspers. Other than that, yeah, Memphis laid an egg. Did not come out to play in the second half. Rice almost made that comeback, fell just a little bit short. I don't know why you're attempting a corner three to win the game. Let's try to drive and get an easy lay-in. Whatever. Shout out to Manhattan for getting it done. UCF wins, but only by 1 point. We needed 3. And then Ohio State falls apart in the second half against Washington. That's great. After like 4 straight positive days, we have a 1-4. Okay, looking for more success today. Let's get back on the right track. Again, folks, before we get into it, hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily college basketball best bets here on the channel. Later today, we're going to have our NBA best bets on the channel as well, so make sure to join us for that video. And on Greedo Plays MMA, we posted a full UFC 2026 futures video looking at the potential champions again in the year of 2026, so you're not going to want to miss that video out over on Greedo Plays MMA. Go subscribe over there. Let's do it. First to 5 best bets today for college basketball, kicking things off with a matchup in the MEAC. Yeah, we're starting with MEAC basketball here, and it's not the highest level of MEAC basketball either, as we've got the North Carolina Central Eagles taking on the Morgan State Bears. I'm going with NC Central to win the basketball game. I do believe they are the better squad. I know that doesn't always, the better team doesn't always win in college basketball, obviously. But when I look at the MEAC conference, and from what I've seen so far this year, there are 3 teams that are better than the rest. I still expect likely the champion of the MEAC to be Norfolk State. This is a team that obviously lost a lot of talent last year. Shout out to the MEAC player of the year last year, Brian Moore Jr., who's now over with Grand Canyon. But Norfolk still seems like they're the best team in the conference. They have played like crap at times. Look at their Grambling game. They have been they've been interesting so far this season, but Norfolk 1-1 so far MEAC play, likely the favorite to still get it done. Their 1 loss on the road at NC Central. Boom. Okay, NC Central is the other top team. We're going to talk about one more in a second, but North Carolina Central 2-0 so far MEAC play, 6-11 as a whole. I don't think they have a Division I win outside of the MEAC, they don't. But 2-0 so far in MEAC play, wins over Norfolk State and Coppin State. Coppin State is really bad, but whatever, the win over Norfolk really means something. And then the third team, not really, we're not going to talk about them much, Maryland Eastern Shore. Maryland Eastern Shore currently projected to win the MEAC. Like on bracketology, they have Eastern Shore as the champs of the MEAC and having to obviously play in the first 4. I don't see it personally. They've only beaten Morgan State and Howard. I get their non-con wasn't that horrible because they won 1 game over Binghamton, but a lot of these MEAC teams would beat Binghamton as well. So that doesn't move me. I still believe the favorite in the MEAC is likely Norfolk State. If not, it's definitely the North Carolina Central Eagles. NC Central is probably number 2 in my opinion right now. And then there's everybody else, right? There's Morgan State, Coppin State, South Carolina State's really bad, we know. Howard, Delaware State. Surprisingly, SC State actually does have a victory so far in MEAC play. They're 1-1. They picked up a win against Howard. I was considering actually taking them today to win against Coppin State, but I decided better against that. There's a higher level mid-major game we're going to be talking about the same exact hour as Coppin State versus SC State, so don't you worry. We're not double dipping in the MEAC today. But we're going to kick things off. 3 o'clock start time, NC Central to beat Morgan State. I don't really care the game's in Baltimore. I don't care they're going on the road. I do believe there's more talent on this NC Central team. They've already shown so far they can win on the road. But it's one thing to win on the road in college basketball. It's another thing for your scoring to translate to road basketball as well. And that's what the NC Central Eagles did in their last game on Saturday. 2 days ago, going to Coppin State and winning 88-77. I know Coppin State's not very good. I don't care though. Going on the road and scoring 88 points for a MEAC team, That is meaningful. And although NC Central did not win a single non-conference game other than their Division II opponents, a competitive loss against Longwood by 2 points, a competitive loss in Virginia on the road to James Madison, only losing by 5, we're going to take some of those. Their opponents tonight, the Morgan State Bears, one of the worst teams in college basketball, and they only own wins over 2 of the other worst teams in college basketball. I'm talking about South Carolina State when they picked up on Saturday, and then an earlier matchup earlier in the year where we actually picked Morgan State money line, to beat Niagara. And we have obviously faded the Purple Eagles the last couple days, taking Iona to cover against them yesterday, taking the Jaspers of Manhattan to cover against Niagara. Yeah, they're really bad. And obviously Manhattan covered for us yesterday. We scored on that one. What can I say? Anyways, Morgan State 4-12 so far this year. Again, the 2 wins over SC State and Niagara. 2 other victories are against D2 schools in Central Pennsylvania and Penn State Brandywine. What? Again, NC Central's victories, Norfolk State, Coppin State, and then 4 D2 wins over Mid-Atlantic Christian, Carolina University, Toka Falls, and Bluefield State. So again, some no-name programs, I understand, but it is what it is, and some D2 schools, but North Carolina Central, in my opinion, does have the better team. So far, MEAC play for Morgan State, 1-1, but a loss at Maryland Eastern Shore, who I guess is projected to win the conference. And, some people believe that. Obviously, are there too many insiders and, just all-around sports media heads watching MEAC basketball? No, okay? With all due respect, nobody's really watching MEAC basketball like that. I still believe the talent of Norfolk State's better. I know they'll go through their long scoring droughts. I think when the time comes, I do believe once we get to the MEAC tournament, I believe it's between NC Central or Norfolk State. Regardless, Morgan State loses on the road to Maryland Eastern Shore. They get blown out, and they play SC State at home. They win by 5 points. Not moved. Not moved at all. For the Morgan State Bears, led in scoring by Alfred Worrell Jr. Rob Lawson as well averages 13 points per game, but Worrell is averaging 15, dropped 32 in a Division II game a couple games ago. This is a Southern Miss transfer who did not play with the Golden Eagles, now over here with the Morgan State Bears. And then Rob Lawson is their point guard. He's been the point guard for the last couple years for Morgan State, undersized at 5'11" from Capitol Heights, Maryland. He does average 13 points per game. All around, though, the better talent, I believe, is on NC Central, and the biggest playmaker and the biggest deciding factor in this game is Gage Lattimore. Gage Lattimore averages 19 points per game for the Eagles, sophomore out of Greensboro, North Carolina. This is his first year of Division I college basketball. Dropped 22 points against Longwood. This is a solid and a dependable double-digit scorer. Last big road game for this team, actually they played Kentucky, but regardless, last road game that they were competitive in non-con-wise because they beat Coppin State on the road. That was a very interesting way to get to this point. My point is, Gage Lattimore went on the road to JMU and scored 30 points. His team scored 62 in that game. Gage Lattimore has the capability of just taking over a game, and he's going to be a difference maker in this one. In a game in which we might struggle to find pure scores and production out of those scores, Gage Lattimore is the guy to watch, who will be getting a matchup with Rob Lawson, who is fairly undersized at the point guard position. And then Corey Carvey, man, might make a difference too. He plays that big role for NC Central, 6'9" forward. He's averaging 14 points per game, put up 24 in the Norfolk State victory. This is a player who was at Morehead State last season. Carvey averaging 14 and 7. I don't know if Morgan State has anything really to offer against him, since Morgan State, for the most part, is going to play fairly small. This is a Morgan State team that's going to play their 5 starters about 33 minutes per night, and they're just going to rotate a couple bench players. They don't really have a true center other than Christian Oliver, who's a senior. He plays 10 minutes per game, give or take. So there's really no big for Morgan State. That's another advantage I think we get with NC Central. I don't care they're going on the road. The overall talent advantage, in my opinion, goes to the Eagles, and that's exactly where we're going here. NC Central picks up the win on the road to kick off the day, -115 for NC Central to go to 3-0 in MEAC play. Okay, on to our second best bet of the video. We now move to the big-time matchup. The matchup, obviously, you saw in the thumbnail. Never thought I'd put Navy and American University in the thumbnail of one of my videos, yet here we are. I am going with the Navy midshipmen to go on the road, go to DC, and beat the American University Eagles. Navy is the better team. Navy, in my opinion, is the best team in the Patriot League. I'm not just saying that because of their record. They have the most talent on this team. And that all starts with Austin Bengini, who is averaging 18 points per game for the midshipman, undersized point guard, sure, 5'11", but he's averaging 18 per game for this team. And then Aiden Kehoe, also their center, in a conference in which, we see dominant center play at times. Hell, look at last year with Bucknell in the Patriot League with Noah Williamson. Aiden Kehoe averaging 14 and 10 this season for the midshipman. Just put up 23 points against Lafayette, 20 against Bucknell, 18 at Holy Cross. He has been a difference maker in the Patriot League because not all these teams have dependable bigs. And that, again, really goes far in games like these. And I'm looking at AU, obviously, American University. Do they have anyone who can stop Kehoe? Well, they essentially play Julian Iturbe at the 5. He's a sophomore from Greenville, South Carolina. My goodness, completely scrambled that one. They don't have a big body to contain Kehoe on the glass and contain him on the putback potential and just scoring in general. That is a big difference maker in this game. And on top of that as well, Bengini is the best player on the court, averaging 18 points per game, the best scorer on the court. A guy last year at Navy who dropped 19 per game, 17 per game in his sophomore season in 23-24. Yeah, I think Navy has American here. I really think so. Navy so far in Patriot League play undefeated as the midshipmen are 4-0, kicking off Patriot League play with a 5-point victory at home against Boston University. They then go to Holy Cross, and remember that one, that's gonna play a factor in a second. They go to Holy Cross and win on the road by 7 points. Home game against Bucknell, again, Bengini with 23 in that one. Kehoe dominates as well. A 21-point win over the Bucknell Bison, and their last game against Lafayette, winning the game by 26 points. I understand Navy's going on the road. I just personally believe they're too dominant in the Patriot League, and I believe this should translate over to DC taking on American University. As for AU, they are 2-2 so far in Patriot League play. A win over the Greyhounds of Loyola, Maryland. That team's not very good. Going to BU and winning by 2 points. It's not hockey, so whatever. And I understand Navy's got to win over them too, but I don't care. Going to Colgate, losing by 2. The main one to watch out for, American University just 2 days ago hosted the Holy Cross Crusaders, and the Crusaders beat them on their own home court by 11 points. Again, why is that important? Well, again, I know, sports math doesn't always work like this, but Navy beat Holy Cross by 7 points on the road. And Holy Cross, I think they're a good team in the Patriot League. Are they the best? I don't know if we can say that. I think it has to be Navy. Navy right now is 4-0 in Patriot League play. Colgate's 3-1. Then it's just a scramble of AU, Holy Cross, BU, Lehigh, and Bucknell. And then, the bottom of the barrel, which is like Lafayette, Army. Army's not that bottom of the barrel. They're just struggling right now. But Lafayette, Loyola, Maryland are bottom of the barrel. I believe Army eventually with Ryan Curry and those guys are going to figure it out. Regardless, though, the midshipmen, I believe, should have their way today. I really think they will. Down low, that's going to be a problem for American University, and just the scoring out of Bengini as well, that's a problem for AU. There's just too much scoring going on with Navy. There's too much size with the midshipmen, and I don't, again, know how American University is going to handle that. AU is led in scoring by Madden Collins. Collins is averaging 13 points per game. He is a true freshman, just dropped 26 in the Holy Cross game. But it's, again, a game in which the Eagles lose by 11 points. Holy Cross and American University play a tight first half. Second half, the Crusaders take over, win it. And again, the game was in D.C., and you're telling me now, okay, they can't beat Holy Cross at home, so now they're going to be an even better team in their conference at the same exact location? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I mean, they were favored to go out and beat Holy Cross. Holy Cross shoots 55% from the field in that game, and American University can't hit a 3. The Eagles go 2 for 24 from beyond the three-point line. Sure, there were a bunch of free throws shot by both the Crusaders and the Eagles, but the main thing in that game is, American University, they can't score, or they can't shoot. Madden Collins, great player, not a really great shooter. This is a 20-something% three-point shooter. He can drive, he can get to the basket, he can get to the free throw line, just dropped 26 again in the Holy Cross game. He's not going to shoot over your head. And the problem, again, too, is big play. I don't think they have a solid enough big to deal with Aiden Kehoe. I mean, you've got Matt Mayock, who's 6'7". Mayock's been with AU for quite a bit, but again, doesn't have the size. He'll try to pick up centers from what I remember from last season, what we've seen so far this year, but I don't think, again, Kehoe is just too big for the guy. They'll have Mayock try to guard him. They'll look to Greg Jones. I just don't think they don't have a true center. Again, they're just one of these teams in the mid-major level that get away with playing, essentially fours at the 5. And usually that works, especially for a league like the Patriot League. But like we've seen before, I mean, hell, look at how much success Noah Williamson had at Bucknell. And I understand, again, Noah Williamson was just a really good player and is a really good player. Obviously, he's kind of been buried a little bit at Alabama right now, considering all the talent there is in Tuscaloosa and in the SEC. But anyways, right? We saw how dominant Noah Williamson was at the mid-major level and at Bucknell, too, to the point where he got to Alabama. That's because, again, Patriot League centers, they can't really hold you. And they can't really hold, again, dominant guys. I understand this is a rematch of, I believe that was the American Championship game last year, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah, Navy at American University, and American University dominated the game, winning 74-52. Kind of a different game, though. I mean, they had Matt Rogers last year. Matt Rogers averaged 17 points per game. He was a fifth-year senior who obviously went on to graduate after that year. It is what it is. It's a different American University team now. I mean, I believe did Navy win the first two games, or did they split early last season? I believe Navy might have won both. Yeah, Navy won the first two games. They won at home against American University and then at Washington, and they just lost the third game in the Patriot League final. They were dominant in the regular season against this team. They got Keough had a really big first game against American University, dominated with 20-11. Yeah, I think this team's got to win again. We'll see again. We'll probably get this matchup again in the tournament, I'd assume. But I got to go with the midshipmen here on the road to pick up a victory against AU. We're going to go money line for the midshipmen to get their get back from the Patriot League championship game last year. Give me Navy -115 to pick up the win in DC. On now to our third best bet of the video, going to the Southland Conference. We're actually going to have back-to-back Southland games. And the Southland, I don't know if it's been the kindest to us, but we're going to have to go back into that well one more time because, well, there's just not a lot of college basketball today. And we're closing the video with the SWAC game at 5 o'clock because, there's just not much else today. Trust me, tomorrow we're going to have a loaded college basketball slate. There are some big games. We got some Mountain West matchups. We got Miami of Ohio playing. Probably not going to bet them because they're at home against CMU, but there's some big games tomorrow. Iowa State, Kansas. Bama goes to Starkville, Oregon, Nebraska. There's some games tomorrow. Today, we're making the best of what we have. Anyways, we've got Incarnate Word going on the road to Texas to take on the Stephen F. Austin Lumberjacks. I'm going with the Lumberjacks to win the game and cover the 7.5 points as well. Yes, the Incarnate Word equation again. There's not a team I have covered more in the Southland Conference this season and watched more, unfortunately, in the Southland Conference than the Incarnate Word Cardinals. They are a very off and on team. They are a definition of a volume basketball team. When they are hot, they are really good. And I will break down Incarnate Word basketball like I do every single time in a second. But when they are hot, they are great. When they're not, they are horrible. Right now, Incarnate Word is just going through one of these streaks where they are dog piss awful and they continue to lose, and lose some more. We just need this losing and suckingness to move on and continue for one more game, and I don't care. They're going to go back home and play Northwestern State in their next matchup, a game that Incarnate Word should probably win. This is a team that, again, is super streaky, and we've seen it already this season. This is a team that kicked off Southland play, beating McNeese at home. If you don't know, McNeese dominates the Southland every single year. They always roll into the tournament with like a 30-5 record, a 28-5 record, because they dominate their conference every single year en route to winning the Southland, en route to getting a 13, 12, or 11 seed, likely 12 seed, in the NCAA tournament. They have one loss so far this year in Southland play. It is their first matchup of Southland Conference play against Incarnate Word at Incarnate Word as the Cardinals won the game 71-67. What does this team do after? They go to Nicholls and lose. At the time, we thought it was horrible. Nicholls actually has not lost a conference game. I have a feeling we're going to be talking about them in just a minute. Anyways, though, they lose to Nicholls. Now, it doesn't look like that bad of an L. At the time, it was horrible. The Incarnate Word goes to New Orleans, loses a tight one to the Privateers. Davian Bailey misses a game-winning layup. Then they go to Texas Christian, only lose the game by 5 over in Fort Worth against TCU. And now they start to get hot, beating Northern Arizona in a non-conference game, beating Southeastern Louisiana in a conference game, beating the Houston Christian Huskies in a conference game as well, and then back-to-back L's now, losing on the road at UT Rio Grande Valley, losing at Lamar, and now going to Stephen F. Austin. I think I may have cracked the code, though. They play horribly on the road. I mean, we've already seen it this year. Their home and road splits are absurd. At home this year, the team's actually pretty solid. They've won their last 4 home games. I think they've won their last 5 home games. Hell, they've won every home game they've played this year. This is an undefeated team, 5-0. And that's what I've gotten from the Southland too. Being at home really matters in the Southland Conference. Again, there are conferences where, it matters more than others. Obviously, like the power conferences like the ACC and the Big 12 and the Big 10, obviously it matters a lot to be at home. But some of the mid-majors, like, with all due respect, the Patriot League, it's not that big of a deal being on the road in the Patriot League. It matters in the Southland. I know all these teams are relatively close to each other for the most part. It's a predominantly Texas-based conference, but obviously there are some schools outside of Texas, but you get my gist, right? Like, you get the gist. It's not, all these schools are not that far away from each other. Still, though, Southland, being at home in the Southland matters. Teams just play way better in the Southland Conference because we see this too in the Southland. There's so many teams that just go through 8-minute intervals of not being able to score in this conference, especially when they're on the road. So anyways, Incarnate Word has not lost a game at home all year long. They're 5-0 at home with wins over Texas Lutheran, McNeese, Northern Arizona, Southeastern Louisiana, and Houston Christian. All of their losses this year have come on the road, and their last 5 games that they have lost, again, have all been road games. There's some neutral site losses in there as well. But last 5 L's have all been on the road. Nicholls, New Orleans, TCU, UT Rio Grande Valley, and now Lamar. They go on the road to Stephen F. Austin tonight, who is definitely a top 3 team in the Southland. I don't know where to rank Nicholls yet. Again, we'll talk about Nicholls in depth in a minute. I don't know where to rank them because they started the year 1-8. Now they're 8-8, and they're undefeated in Southland play. But Stephen F. Austin, 13-3, 6-1 in conference play. McNeese, 13-3, 6-1 in conference play. Stephen F. Austin's one loss in conference play is on the road at McNeese by 2 points. McNeese's loss, obviously, is at Nicholls, and Nicholls is still yet to lose. I gotta think the Lumberjacks blow out Incarnate Word, though. We just need them to continue to suck. And again, I will quickly break down Incarnate Word basketball because we've been over this before. They will run off 2 screens at the same time, get an off-ball screen going to Davian Bailey to open up Davian Bailey from the 3-point line. Him and Taj Stavesky do all the scoring. That's about it. At least on Stephen F. Austin, they don't just have 2 guys chucking the ball game long, because Bailey, again, is going to take almost half their shots all game long. Him and Stavesky are going to take 70% of Incarnate Word shots on a nightly basis. As for the Lumberjacks, Keon Thompson leads the team in scoring with 17 points per night, and Lateef Patrick averages 16. Thompson, a very experienced collegiate basketball player, had 2 years over in Amherst, I'm pretty sure, Massachusetts. I'm pretty sure UMass at Amherst. At UMass, Keon Thompson, point guard for this team, averaging 17 points per game. And then there's Lateef Patrick, who I believe is a JUCO product, averaging 16 points per game. First year at Stephen F. Austin. He has started in every single game he's played so far for the Lumberjacks. The big for the Jacks will be Jared Colonel, averaging 5 and 8. He's out there just to get rebounds for the most part, play over half the game, and just get boards. I'm taking Stephen F. Austin quite easily, and I'm taking them to cover 2. Look at the way Stephen F. Austin's been playing recently. This has all the makings of just being a blowout. Look at all their Southland games. 9-point victory over against Texas A&M Corpus Christi. A 28-point blowout on the road at East Texas A&M. A 27-point blowout. A 10-point victory on the road at Northwestern State. A 10-point victory on the road against Southeastern Louisiana. Close game and a close L against McNeese. And then just recently an 18-point victory at home against Houston Christian. This should be complete domination against Incarnate Word. We see how this team plays on the road. They are horrible on the road. I mean, again, 51 points against Lamar, 67 points against UT Rio Grande Valley. They get usually blown out in road games. And by the way, this is a 3rd straight road game for this team. Obviously, they have not been on the road consecutively for 7 days, but going from Lamar to Stephen F. Austin, they just have not played hot basketball on the road all year long, and I doubt that they randomly spring up for this game. So I got to go with Stephen F. Austin, who has been one of the better teams in the Southland. It can be the Lumberjacks at home to win and cover the 7.5 points. On now to our 4th best bet of the video, sticking in the Southland Conference for the McNeese Cowboys and the Nicholls Colonels. Give me the Colonels. Oh, give me the Colonels. Okay, so here's the thing. Nicholls currently is the number 1 team in the Southland, regardless of if that's representative in the net rankings and the non-conference play, and if you actually believe that or not. In the standings, when you look at the Southland Conference currently, Nicholls is the number 1 team. Again, we mentioned it earlier, 2 and 3, or I guess 2A, 2B, currently are the McNeese Cowboys and the Stephen F. Austin Lumberjacks, who obviously we just did a whole segment on. Nicholls, though, starts their year 1-7. No, they started 0-6, excuse me. They started 0-7. They then beat Incarnate Word. They then beat the College of Biblical Studies. They beat Houston Christian, so you're 2-0 in conference play, 3-7 as a whole. They drop a game to Pacific, non-con, obviously Pacific plays in the WCC. And then here comes all of the winning for the Colonels. Again, 3-8 at one point in time. They start rattling off victories on the road at Texas A&M Corpus Christi, on the road at UT Rio Grande Valley, at home against East Texas A&M, at home against Northwestern State, and a 13-point victory in which they scored 90 points in New Orleans, Louisiana against the New Orleans Privateers. It's time to actually believe in the Colonels. I don't know how they've done it, but at the same time, too, their non-conference schedule, they actually played some tough teams. I remember what got me, though, it was a couple things. I thought Incarnate Word was actually going to be pretty solid. I watched them play Indiana, and they weren't that bad, I thought, in the game in Bloomington. Obviously, a team in the Southland, if you're not McNeese, and even if you are McNeese, are likely going to struggle at Assembly Hall, but I thought Incarnate Word played all right enough. And then I also, again, looked at Nicholls' record. They're horrible, but it wasn't just, the record alone. It was the loss at Valparaiso and losing to Eastern Illinois on the road. And those aren't great, but their other losses honestly weren't that bad. Kentucky, Murray State, Oklahoma State, Tulane, Creighton. And now here they are, right? Again, they have won 8 out their last 15 games. That's horrible. 8 out of their last 9 games. My goodness. They've won 8 out of their last 9 games going into this one now against McNeese. And obviously they're massive underdogs because of what the expectation was of both of these teams coming into the year. McNeese year in and year out, like we mentioned earlier, is always that dominant force in the Southland Conference. This is a team that continues to win this thing. Last season, McNeese dominated the Southland en route to beating Clemson in the first round of the NCAA tournament before obviously losing to Purdue. They went 19-1 last year in conference play. Their one loss, Nicholls on the road. I know this game's at McNeese, but I just felt like that was a little bit important. How about 2 years ago, 17-1 in conference play? Only loss was out Southeastern Louisiana. They lost to Gonzaga in the first round of the tournament. And then in 22, they were still pretty mid. They didn't do anything in the Southland. But last 2 years, obviously, for the Cowboys have been dominance. I'd assume this year is going to be more of the same. And obviously, per year, they only usually lose one game in Southland Conference play. Well, again, that's what they did in each of the last 2 years. And now, they've lost one. It was their first game against Incarnate Word. And yet, McNeese keeps on finding a way, right? You lose your first game in Southland tournament or conference play. You beat Northwestern State. You go on the road, non-con game, beat URI, big victory. East Texas A&M win at home. Went to Houston Christian and won. On the road, losing to Michigan. We had Michigan spread that game. It was pretty easy. At home, then, McNeese bounces back 3 straight wins at home to Lamar. Stephen F. Austin by 2 points, like we mentioned earlier. And then Southeastern Louisiana by 12, en route now to this game against Nicholls at home. I'm not denying the talent for McNeese. There's quite a bit of it. Larry Johnson leads the team in both scoring and boards, averaging 16 and 5, does the freshman out of Savannah, Georgia. I will say he did only score 6 points in their last outing against Southeastern Louisiana. But then there's other scorers. There's Tyshawn Archie, and there's Javon Garcia. Archie averages 14 points per game. Archie averages 14, and Garcia averages 12. Garcia in his 5th year of college basketball, 2 years at McNeese, 2 years at UMass, now 3 at McNeese. And then there's Tyshawn Archie, who has played 2 years at Tulsa, now, of course, with the Cowboys. It's dependent on the game. There are some spots still where Tyshawn Archie is going to come off the bench. Again, though, a premier scorer for this team. I just don't think McNeese is 14 points better than Nicholls. And it's also, again, it plays a factor too. All this momentum Nicholls has got now. One, for the guys who were on this team last year, they know they can beat McNeese. This is not some, undeniable force. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 2 years ago in the Southland Conference Championship game, the year, again, McNeese dominates every single year, but 2 years ago, they were dominant, and they beat Nicholls, if I'm not mistaken, in the Conference Championship game. Last year, again, they lose one game in conference play in the regular season. Obviously, they swept the Southland tourney, but the one game they lost in conference play was Nicholls. And it was on the road, sure, but this is a group and this is a team that knows they can win a game like this. They're not scared of going into McNeese anymore. They've played this team before, and they've, again, played fairly well. It's like that argument I made against, with Seattle U and Washington last year. And going into this year, I was like, well, last year, Seattle U beat Washington. That group knows they can do it, and they're going to do it again. And obviously they did. I'm not telling you this is the same exact comp, obviously, with Nicholls and not Incarnate Word and McNeese, but it is a factor. They know that they can beat this squad. As for the Colonels, they're led in scoring by Jalen Searless, who's averaging 14. Jalik Dunkley, averages 14 as well. Searless, in his senior year, came over from Utah Tech. He's averaging 14 as well for Jalik Dunkley, who is playing in his first year of Division I college basketball. There's talent on the Colonels. You've got a couple other 10 points per game scorers in Sincere Malone and Trey English. I got to go with the Colonels here. I think if we're being given this many points, I think they can cover it. I know the game's at McNeese, but all the confidence that Nicholls is playing with right now gives me some confidence as well to take them to cover. Don't forget as well, right? 14.5 is a lot of points. Yesterday or on Saturday, Southeastern Louisiana went to McNeese and only lost by 12. Lamar went there and only lost by 12. McNeese did go to Houston Christian, but still only won by 10. These teams are covering against McNeese as long as you're not Northwestern State. Why can't, right now, the best team in the conference do that, and a team that is undefeated so far in the Southland? Give me the Nicholls Colonels to go on the road and cover 14.5 points against the McNeese Cowboys. On to our final best bet of the video. Oh, man. Yeah, here we are. Mississippi Valley State Delta Devils versus Texas Southern. I'll be honest with you, this is best bet number 5. Okay, by far, this is the last best bet on the video. Not obviously just in terms of duration and obviously in timing of the video. If I had to rank them, I won't rank the other 4. This is definitely last. So take this game with a grain of salt. I'm going to be transparent with you. When I was looking through the games, I was trying to find a 5th, and I just landed on this one. I think the other close one I got was I had Bethune-Cookman beating Southern at home, but I don't know. I feel like Southern actually has a decent roster. I just think they've been underperforming this season. So I'm staying away from that other SWAC game. So we're going to do this SWAC game instead. Late night spot over, actually a 7 o'clock game over at Texas Southern between the Texas Southern Tigers and the Mississippi Valley State Delta Devils. I'm going with the Delta Devils, just like the last game with Nicholls and McNeese. I'm taking the Delta Devils to cover 14.5 points. Yeah, I am. I'm going to take the Delta Devils here. I think they can cover this line. I think so. Guys, the Delta Devils are showing some life. I understand this is the lowest ranked team in the net rankings, the last place team in the Ken Palm. I understand. They're well regarded as the worst team year in and year out in college basketball. I understand. Now, by the way, I believe the Delta Devils are, I think the SWAC made this change, right? The SWAC is putting every team in their conference tournament. So there's a chance we could see the Mississippi Valley State Delta Devils still win the NCAA tournament. It's still, everything's in the picture for them. They could go winless, I believe, in SWAC conference play, and yet they will still get a chance in their own conference tournament. Shout out the SWAC conference, man. It's something else over there. Anyways, Mississippi Valley State has been showing some strides of improvement. I will look at their last game and a competitive loss, which they almost won against the Prairie View A&M Panthers. I know Prairie View had only had 1 victory this year, actually 2 victories against Division I schools in Southern, the Jaguars on the road, and North Florida at home. But a huge game for the Delta Devils. I don't know if they ever led in that game. Did they lead? No, they led a couple times. Actually, they had a 9-point lead at one point. Prairie View eventually takes over at the end of the game, but the Delta Devils were competitive. And shout out to the unofficial Mississippi Valley State Delta Devils Twitter account, not the real one, but the fake one that always provides updates every single game that they play. And if they lose, it's just always a positive spin on it. It's hilarious. Anyways, the Delta Devils are competitive against Prairie View, only losing the game by 1. Now, their other couple conference games aren't particularly close. Alabama A&M, 20-point loss. Alabama State loss by 30. 25, actually. Ooh. I still think they can play this close. Guys, Texas Southern has been awful this year. I'm not denying the fact that Texas Southern should win the game. They 100% should. But the truth is, this is another bottom-of-the-barrel college basketball team this year. Like, in the grand scheme of things, I don't know if Texas Southern is better than many other teams in the SWAC. I really don't know. There's a lot of bad teams in the SWAC. I think Alcorn State's pretty awful. Even though, no, they beat Alabama A&M on the road. Actually, I got to give that team credit. There's not many bad. Okay, well, I don't know if there's any worse teams than these two. These two are really bad. However, when you look at 2 really bad teams, I'll take the points. I'm not telling you the Delta Devils are on the same level as Texas Southern. Probably not. I still think Texas Southern is better than this team. Just going to be honest with you. But I do think the Delta Devils can be somewhat competitive. Texas Southern is not that many years out of making the tournament, right? They were in the tournament at one point. They were the team that lost to FDU. The FDU team that beat Zaga back in 23, I guess that happened. Now, here they are, starting the year 2-12. But that's the SWAC, though, right? Like, all these teams just take bye games all the time. The bigger problem, though, at Texas Southern is their game so far. And the fact that they have not played a single-digit SWAC game yet. Southern lost on the roads by 11 points, at Grambling losing by 17, and then a home game. Sorry, actually, this was single digits, but an 8-point loss to Arkansas Pine Bluff. They haven't really been competitive yet. Their best player by far is going to be Troy Hoopstead. He's their big. He's averaging 15 and 9. It just put up 16 and 14 against Pine Bluff, 30 and 17 against a Division II school. This is their best player, senior, who was at Maryland Eastern Shore at one point, UT Arlington last year. Now at Texas Southern, he is their big star on this team right now. For the Delta Devils, I mean, we've talked about him before. He's the entire team. It's Michael James. He is their point guard who averages 20 points per game in attempts. I'm not joking, 30 shots per game. Nah, more like 25, but that's, again, 30's not that far off. Michael James is going to take every single shot in the court. Give him credit. Mississippi guy, junior college product, I believe, or Division II product. I believe is junior college product. He gets a lot of run on this team. He's a top 40 scorer in college basketball, at least on a points per game basis. I'm going to go with the Delta Devils here, guys. When you take two really bad basketball teams, I understand the game's at Texas Southern, but when you take two really bad basketball teams that are just looking for a victory, it usually results in crap, I understand, and some funny stuff, but I think the Delta Devils can just stay within 14.5. It's a lot of points to ask for against another really bad team. I'll be honest, the Delta Devils haven't really covered this line much this year other than a double overtime L in Hawaii to Utah Tech, a 7-point loss in Hawaii against Manhattan, and then their last game against Prairie View. They haven't covered this line in any other Division I school game all year long. Their only win this season is against Division III, Mississippi University for women. There are men on the team, but it's the Mississippi University for women. We're going to need a little bit of hope here, but I do believe the high-scoring nature out of Michael James and the fact that Texas Southern isn't very good either and just pressing for a win kind of results in a crappy basketball game. I'm a little concerned how we're going to deal with the big and Hoopstead. It's going to be Daniel Mayfield. Mayfield's been okay. We'll see if he can stop the big play again out of Hupstead, on Texas Southern. But I am going with the Delta Devils on the road at plus 14.5. Again, tread lightly with this one, I shall say. Give me the Delta Devils on the road to cover to end the video in the SWAC. Folks, thank y'all for watching our college basketball best bets here on January 12th. If you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back tomorrow for more daily college basketball best bets. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.